going to take a look at making adjustments and fitting your Bantam medium properly. So we have a Bantam medium here today. The first thing we do when we make adjustments to fit somebody in the Bantam medium is we want to take it down to the seated position, and we want to make sure that it's set in sit to stand if you have the supine option on it. Once that's done, I'm going to remove the table or the tray, and I just flip these latches on the side, pull the tray straight off. And the first adjustment that I'm going to want to look at is the seat depth adjustment. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the measurement of the person that's going into the Bantam medium, and we're going to measure it from behind the knee to the back of the back. And once we get that measurement, we're going to take and measure it up and make sure that our back's far enough back. Now, like all EasyStands, we have a color-coded system to keep track of our seat depth adjustment. Now to do this properly, what you can see here is we have blue through green. Right now this is set in about a middle seat depth adjustment. Each change of seat depth is about 1 inch. So let's say I need to make my adjustment 2 inches shorter. What I would do is I would first loosen a knob on the other side of the unit, which is a quick adjust knob. And then once that's loose, I can go ahead and I can push my seat depth in. So now I've just shortened it 2 seat depths, or I can take it out, which would be extending it 2 seat depths. Now let's say I'm going to go to the green position, which would be for the largest person and the furthest seat depth back. I now need to accommodate for the seat to back angle and make sure that my colors match down below here on the following arm. So to do that, I loosen these knobs, I flip them open, and then I want to make sure that I have one hand supporting on the back, because if I don't have it supporting, gravity will just take it down. But as long as I've got that hand supporting on the back, I loosen these up and I move it back until I find the green position, and then I click these knobs back into place. There's a plunger pin on them. I click those back into place, tighten them up, and now I have extended my seat depth position from orange to green, which is about 2 inches. Okay? Now sometimes you might notice, in this case I stretched the upholstery fabric on the seat a little bit, so I'll just unattach it from the Velcro in the front and reattach it again, and now I've accommodated for that. If I'm going to a shorter seat depth, it might bunch up here a little bit. I can stretch it and reattach it again. Now we're going to take a look at the knee pads and the foot plates and the section of the body below the knee. So what we want to do here is when the person's sitting in the unit, we want to make sure that their leg is all the way on the pad. Now with this particular unit, we have the swing out knees, so I can flip those out of the way quite easily. And when I'm going to make my foot plate adjustment, I loosen the red. I'll put this back up so you can see, but you loosen this here, and then the foot plate will slide up and down. Now there's 2 different foot plate systems that we have. One adjusts in height, and then this is the multi-adjust foot plate, where I can also have toe down, toe up, plantar dorsiflexion adjustment. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that the leg is resting all the way on the seat. What I do when I'm adjusting these is I drop these all the way to the floor, I let the foot hang, and then I bring one foot plate up to make sure the heel is resting on the foot plate, and then when that's the case, you just tighten up the foot plate at the appropriate spot. Then I'll come to the other side, and if I'm sure that there's not a leg length discrepancy, or especially if I'm standing the person for the first time, I don't come and match this heel. What I do is I make sure that this is set to the exact same height as the other side, so that we're essentially standing on a flat surface. So once I have one foot plate set, I match the other height to the other foot plate, and that's how I set those. Then the final piece is to adjust your knee pads. And what you want to do here is you have a couple things that you can adjust. The most important one is the depth adjustment. Now what we want to do here is we should already have our seat depth set, so when the person's sitting in it, there's just a little bit of space behind the leg, and that their leg's coming right over the seat. Maybe we want to get one finger in there, not much more than that, and then you want to bring the knee pad to sit up against the person's knee. So you want to avoid having the knee pad too far back where there's a lot of space, where you can fit a lot of space in between the hand and the knee. You want to bring it back so it's touching the knee. When you get it to that point, just tighten it up. And again, the second step of that process is to match the other knee pad up so that they're at the same depth. You don't want them at different depths because then the knees will be loading different weights. So just make sure that you match them up so that they're the same depth. We also have height adjustment on the multi-adjustable knee pads. So if I loosen these two knobs on the back, I can raise and lower the height of the knee pad. Now the way that we would advise you to adjust these knee pads is to make sure that the knee goes right into the center of the pad. So we want a little bit of support below the patella, on top of the patella, and then above the patella a little bit in the standing position as well. So now we've made adjustments for the feet, the knees, the seat depth. Final adjustments for fitting the Bantam are just making sure that your head support is appropriate at the right spot, and these adjustments can be fine-tuned once the user's in the unit. The knee pads, the foot plates, and the seat depth you're going to want to do before the user makes the transfer in. The upper body adjustments can be done afterwards. This particular unit here has a form-to-fit seat on it, but you also might have fixed lateral supports that you can adjust in height and width as well. So that's a summary of the adjustments so far. One final adjustment you might make once the person's sitting in the unit, we can throw the tray back on and we can find the appropriate depth for that. Once we find the depth, we just flip this over and it should catch in place. The other thing I can do is I can adjust the height of the tray, and that's just with two knobs right here on the side. I can raise or lower this whole bracket. That's the tray height, and I do have a little bit of angle adjustment as well.